Hey guys, it's Maddie, and today I'll be doing a video that I've been very excited to do the whole year. That is my best books of 2017. I always look forward to these end of the year videos. I'm so happy that the time has finally come. I read a lot of great books in 2017 that I really loved. I'll be showing these books in order from my least most favorite book to my most favorite book of the year. So let's just get started. So coming in at number 10, I have a graphic novel that I actually liked. I mentioned before how I just have a really hard time getting into graphic novels. I came across a lot this year that were really disappointing, but I finally came across one that I really liked, and that was Super Mutant Magic Academy by Gillian Tomaki. So this is a graphic novel dealing with mutant children who go through just everyday life as teenagers. What I love about this graphic novel is that it's so relatable. Even though I'm not a teenager anymore, I felt like I could relate to this book because some of the things these mutant children went through in this were so relatable to when I was a teenager that they were just hilarious. And I would just describe this graphic novel as so funny, and I really loved it. Would highly recommend it, and yeah, I'm just really happy I found the graphic novel that I actually like now. And this is one that I would definitely reread for sure. At number 9, I have Always and Forever Laura G by Jenny Han. This is the third book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy. This book was not supposed to exist. The series was only supposed to be a duology, but we got a third book. I really enjoyed this book. I feel like all the books in this series are so enjoyable. They're all 4 stars for me, so they're not the best books ever, but I always end up finishing them and just really just enjoying them. They're such lighthearted reads. The romance is great. The family dynamic is amazing in this, and I feel like the last book was pretty good. The only kind of gripe thing I have about it is that I felt like there wasn't a whole lot of plot to it. I feel like it just went through Laura Jean's everyday life, and that was it. But there were some parts in this that I did really love, and I would highly recommend this trilogy if you have not read it yet, because it is a great trilogy that will really give you all the feels, and I was really pleased with the final book in this trilogy. At number 8, I have Omega by Jess Accardo. This is the second book in the Infinity Division series. The first book is called Infinity. I mentioned this series quite a bit. It's one of my favorite sci-fi series, and I'm not a sci-fi person at all, so for me to say that, that is a big deal. I was really pleased with the second book. This book follows different characters than it did in the first book, but I did really love the new characters that were introduced. One of the characters whose point of view this is in was in the first book, and another character whose perspective was in this book was a new character, and I ended up really liking her. So I really love this series. Definitely going to read the last book, I believe, that comes out this year. So I'm really looking forward to that, but as for the second book, I felt like it was really good. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, so I really enjoyed it. At number 7, I have Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. This is a mystery book inspired by Jack the Ripper. It takes place in Victorian time, and it is about a girl who is a forensic scientist, which is very taboo for this time period because women forensic scientists were unheard of, and she is taking on the case of Jack the Ripper and trying to find out who he is. So I read this book in January, so I honestly don't remember a lot about it. For that fact, I do need to reread this again because I haven't gotten to the sequel yet, so because I forgot a lot about it, I need to reread this, but I remember really enjoying it. It made me fall in love with Jack the Ripper, which before this book I didn't really know a lot about him, but I was really introduced to Jack the Ripper through this book, and I think he's very fascinating. And I felt like the characters in this were great, the romance was great, the mystery was great, the payoff with the plot twist with finding out who Jack the Ripper actually is was very surprising, and I just really enjoyed it. And for someone who doesn't read a lot of mystery books, this book makes me want to read more mystery books because I don't read enough of them, but I need to read more just because I love this book, and this is a mystery book. And if you guys have not read this book yet, definitely give it a read because I really enjoyed it and highly recommend it, and I'm looking forward to rereading it again really soon. Next, I have a book that I just recently read, and I really enjoyed it. I actually knew I was going to love this book before I even read it, and I did, so it wasn't really surprising, but that is Things We Know by Heart by Jessie Kirby. Because of the whole premise of this book, I knew I was just going to love this book. It is about a girl whose boyfriend has just recently died and his organs have been donated to other people. She finds all the people who have his organs, but she is missing the person who has his heart. So she goes on a search for him, she finds him, and she falls in love with him. And it's just a whole love story between her and this boy who has her dead boyfriend's heart. In a way, it kind of sounds really weird when I say it out loud. Kind of a weird premise, but I really, really loved it. What I really loved about this book is it deals with grief in such a great way because it's about this girl who is still trying to get over her boyfriend's death. She is continuously grieving throughout this whole entire book, and it just made me feel so sad at some time. It just really made me feel for her, and her situation was just terrible, but I also really loved the romantic plotline in this book. I felt like it was very well developed and pretty slow burn for the most part, and it really touched me in so many ways, so I enjoyed it so much. Next, I have Seize Today by Pin-Tip Done. This is the third book in the Forget Tomorrow trilogy that I've mentioned a lot because it's one of my favorite trilogies ever. And this trilogy is a dystopian series about a world where when you turn 17 you're able to receive a memory from the future telling you how your whole life is going to turn out. And this book in particular follows a different character than it did in the other books. Each book in this trilogy follows a different character's perspective, which I like. And this character is the daughter of the chairwoman of this society who is very evil. The chairwoman's daughter is more on the sweet side, who doesn't believe that anything her mother is doing is right. What I love about this book is the main character. I felt like she was very relatable to me. She's very shy. She has a hard time opening up to people. She has a hard time speaking in general. I felt like because I have those similar problems, she was very relatable to me. So I really loved her because of that. I love the main character. I felt like as the final book in a series that it was very, very well fleshed out. I think the payoff of it was great. So all around, it was just a great book to finish off a trilogy. And I'm really sad that this trilogy is over just because I loved it so much, but I know I will read it again in the future, and I was not disappointed by the final book in this trilogy. Next, I have a manga, and that is Orange by Ichigo Takano. And this is a manga that has to do with time traveling by letters. It's about this girl who receives a letter from herself 10 years in the future, telling her things that she needs to change, that she regrets, also telling her that something really bad is going to happen to her friend and she needs to change it. It's a very emotional manga series. It's definitely not as lighthearted as it seems. It deals with very heavy topics such as suicide, so if that is something that triggers you, I would recommend to stay away from this manga series because I wouldn't want you to get upset over it. But I really love how it brings out these issues and how very emotional it is. It will really, really make you feel for the characters. And I have not finished this manga series yet. This is a bind-up of the first 3 volumes, but I need to read the rest. I want to read the rest. I have seen the anime series, so I kind of know what already happens, but I still want to finish off the manga series just because I love it so much and would highly, highly recommend it. Even if you don't read manga, still give this one a try because I feel like it's a good manga to start out with. Okay, now we're getting into my top 3, which is getting exciting. So coming in at number 3 is Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This is a Cinderella retelling, a modern day retelling of Cinderella about this girl whose favorite TV series is getting a movie adaptation, which she is very excited for. But she finds out the main lead in this movie is going to be played by an actor that she really doesn't like. But the thing is, that really makes this book awesome, is that she comes in contact with this actor through texting and doesn't know it's actually him. So it's kind of like, I would describe like that You've Got Mail kind of vibe to it. If you like the book P.S. I Like You by Casey West, you're going to like this book just because they both have that kind of aspect about it. But this book was so great. I love how it's a hate-to-love romance. I mentioned before, those are my favorite romances ever. And this book did that trope so, so well. What I also really love about this book is how it deals with fandom and how absolutely beautiful just fandoms are and how they introduce people to new friends and stuff. It really dealt with that topic really well. I really enjoyed that. about this book. The romance was great. Topics that deal with fandom were amazing. I felt like the overall plot was good. It really stuck to the Cinderella story, but just put this very interesting twist on it that I really loved. And because I love this book, I need to read more fairy tale retellings, specifically Cinderella fairy tale retellings, because I really love the story of Cinderella. So that needs to happen soon, and if you love fairy tale retellings, definitely read Geekerella. I promise you'll probably like it, especially if you love Cinderella retellings, because this was a good one. Coming in second place is a sci-fi book that I really enjoyed. I have a lot of sci-fi books on my list. That is saying something because I'm not into sci-fi, but I really love this one. I just showed it. It is Warcross by Marie Lu. This is another one I read recently in November, and I was kind of skeptical about it. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this book or not, but it had been getting a lot of hype, and a lot of people had been loving it, so that was a good sign. And I was not disappointed by this book. Oh my gosh, I loved it so, so much. This book, if you don't know, is about a world where virtual reality is a thing. And this virtual reality game, Warcross, has become so, so popular. Everyone's playing it. It even has a World Championship game of Warcross that happens every year. And it's all about this girl who is watching the Warcross opening games and decides that she's going to steal an artifact from the game that she can trade in for a lot of money because she's very poor, she can't pay her rent, so she's kind of desperate. So as she's doing this, she accidentally transports herself into the game and everyone sees. And because of this, she's like, I'm in so much trouble, I'm going to get arrested. But instead, she gets a call from the creator of Warcross asking her to come out to Tokyo and help him find a hacker who is trying to ruin Warcross. So another reason I wasn't sure if I was going to like this is because it's about virtual reality games, and I'm not someone who plays a lot of video games, but even so, I still loved it. I found the game of Warcross really fascinating. It was so intricate and just really fun to read about. I also loved the characters. I loved Amika, the main character of this book, so much. She's Chinese American, so she's very diverse, but she also has rainbow colored hair, which I think is so awesome. She was so fun to visualize in my head because of that. And I also loved a lot of the other characters. I loved all the plot points. This book has 2 plot twists at the end of it that just had me grating my teeth because I was like, what just happened? I expected one of them, but the second one I did not see coming at all, and it just threw me for a loop. And I just really enjoyed this book. And for someone who does not love sci-fi books, I'm telling you, that's a big deal because I really, really love this book. So if you are into sci-fi books and virtual reality video games in general, I think you will enjoy this book. I cannot wait for the sequel that will be coming out this year. Like, I need it in my hands right now. And finally, the big finale, my favorite book I read in 2017, should come to no surprise if you have watched my videos before. I mentioned before in my videos how this is going to be my favorite book of the year. It still is. Nothing can beat it. It's like actually my favorite book of all time now. I love it so much. That is The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a book I read in June, so in the middle of the year, I just completely fell in love with it. So this book is about a girl named Mallory who went through a lot of abuse as a child. She's an orphan, but her foster parents were very horrible. They abused her. They abused her physically and mentally a lot. And in her foster home, she also lived with a boy named Ryder who took care of her, and they were very close. But then she gets transferred to another home, and she is separated from Ryder for 4 years until she decides to go to school. She's been homeschooled, but now she's decided to actually go to school her senior year, and she finds out that Ryder is at her school and she hasn't seen him for 4 years. So they reunite, they start off the relationship again, they fall in love. It is such a great book. Every time I think about this book, like, I'll see it on my shelf, and I like always have it like sitting up like on my shelf just because I want to display it. Every time I look at it, I just smile because I love this book so much. Just every time I think about it, I just cannot get over how great it was. what I loved about this book were the themes that it brought out. So it's about this girl who is still going through so much PTSD because of what she went through. And while she was abused, she went through the mentality that whenever she spoke, that was when the abuse would start. Because of that, even 4 years after this happened, she does not talk because she feels like if she talks, then something bad's going to happen to her, or she feels like her words aren't very valid, or bad things come when she speaks. So she is very, very silent. She has so much social anxiety, which is the reason why I love this character so much, because for someone who has social anxiety, I've mentioned before that I have that. I should stop mentioning that now because it's getting kind of repetitive, but because of that, I just really, really loved this book and this character. She's one of my favorite female characters of all time, and she was so relatable to me because she had anxiety, she was awkward, and she was very, very shy. She had a hard time opening up to people, so she was just very, very relatable to me. I also love the romance. This is one of the best romances I have ever read about. I love Ryder as a character. He's also been through so much, also going through PTSD. And the main reason I love this book so much is I loved seeing these two characters come together and overcome together their past and move forward. I think they brought out just amazing things about each other. And them as a couple and them together just really worked. I bought into the relationship from the second it happened because you could just really, really feel the connection between these characters, which I loved. So this is a great book. Every time I talk about it, I can't help but smile. I'm actually currently rereading it on audiobook just because I needed to reread this book so bad. So this is my favorite book of 2017. I absolutely loved it. If you have not read it yet, please do, because it is so, so amazing. It does have mixed reviews, which I don't understand, because how can anyone hate this book? This is the only book I've ever come across where if someone doesn't like it, I feel like their opinion is invalid, and I feel so bad for that, just because I'm how can you hate this book? It's so great. But yes, I loved it. I'm going to stop talking about it now because I feel like I've said enough, but it is amazing. Definitely my favorite book of 2017. So that was my best books of 2017. Again, I read a lot of great books. I would recommend to read all these books because they are all amazing. I do have more end of the year videos that will be coming out. My worst books of 2017 is coming out today as well, so you'll see that very soon. So if you're interested in me talking about the books I hated in 2017, you can look out for that. And then I have my books I want to reread in 2018, my 2018 TBR, more stuff that I plan to do. So just a lot of end of the year book videos will be coming out really soon, so I hope you enjoy those. And if you liked this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below for more bookish related videos. Also, let me know your favorite books of 2017 because I would love to know. And I will be back really soon. Bye!